Hello, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning from wherever you're joining us from. I'm speaking to you from Nigeria here. Welcome to this live session with me on LinkedIn today. My name is Deborah Enyone. I'm an emerging tech lawyer and the managing partner of Hilton Top Solicitors. I'm in the Web3 space. And I'm here today for us to have a discussion around Web3 and decentralization. And then we'll just consider some few legal implications. We will not be wasting too much of your time here. We'll just take about 30 minutes to have a short discussion. And I would like if you can make contributions to this discussion by sending your questions, your concerns to the chats, and then we address it together. But before then, I would like to know you, where you're joining from. Kindly drop your comments in the chat, your name and the country where you're joining from, or the states within Nigeria where you're joining from. Thank you so much. I'm so glad to have you. So our discussion today is on Web3, and decentralization. Yes, please. If you would like to drop in the comment section your your idea or your understanding of Web3. Yes, we're not here to bug you with any heavy explanation and definition today. I'm here to help you simplify so you can understand whether you are a part of the audience that is from the tech community or the non-tech community, right? So we are here live from Nigeria. Thank you so much for joining us on this LinkedIn live session today. So Web3, what's this buzzword and what does it really mean? You've been seeing different definitions online from your AI, and I'm sure you do have a bit of an understanding around it, but how can we break it down for those who have no understanding and the implication of this word around them or around their businesses? How can they actually get to have an idea about it? So basically, when we talk about Web3, we're talking about a decentralized online ecosystem, right? An online ecosystem that is based on the blockchain, because the blockchain has this decentralized nature, right? So if you have this community, let me use a scenario to paint what the Web3 and decentralization actually portrays. Imagine the online community as before now, where you have everything centralized and you have no access or no control, no ownership around your data, around the businesses that you transact online. And now the next generation of the internet, which is the Web3, is purporting a decentralized system whereby the control of your data and your content will no longer rest on a central authority, and that the control of your data will be with you, that you can control your data, that it is decentralized. And so it's not the big companies like you have Facebook, which is now Meta, control your data, but you can actually, have that control over your data, and as a result, you can monetize it and deal with it as you want. So now another scenario we can actually use is a situation, take an example, if you have a community whereby the land has various houses built on it, and each houses are participants, are owners of the a particular property or a particular information that is stored in a particular house. And all these houses form that community, which is now the Web3. And so if anything happens within one house, of course, there are issues around whether what has happened or transpired in one of the houses is a liability of the other houses that forms that community, or that is a part of that community. This will lead us to probably some of the implications or some of the challenges that comes within this space. As much as we know that there are opportunities within this space in terms of ownership of your data, in terms of the decentralization, and then of course opportunities around financial inclusion, enhanced security. It doesn't come with these opportunities alone without its challenges, right? So I hope that we're able to understand what we're saying about the Web3. And so it's not just a word to signify one thing. It's an ecosystem, and as a result, that ecosystem could be a part of, the startups, the companies, the people, the technology, the software. All these things add up to form that Web3, right? And like we said, one key feature about it is the fact that among the technologies used or being utilized by the Web3 is the blockchain technology, right? And of course, we got to understand that the word Web3 was actually first coined by Dr. Gavin Wood in 2014. And so with this, I hope we're able to kind of simplify it in a way, because a lot of people have asked me at some point, say, what exactly is this Web3? Is this synonymous to the blockchain, or how does it really relate to us? How do we get to understand? Yes, you need to understand the Web3 because it actually has some implications on how your dealings and your transactions in the digital space will be run moving forward. And of course, it also have some implications on your business, right? Because it will bring about some levels of new models of business. And so you have to understand to know how your business can actually fit into the space, or what you need to do to be able to align yourself properly to harness the opportunities that actually accrues in the space of the Web3. And so the core principle, of course, there are various principles around the Web3, right? So we have the fact that you have your data control, you have control over your data and no more the corporations. And of course, there is global digital transactions that are secured. And then we have online exchange of information, right? And so these are some of the principles that get the Web3. And so if we can actually secure or guarantee most of these things, then we've been able to adhere to these principles, like I said, in terms of the data security, global exchange of information, and global digital information transactions and security. And so this will now lead us to why the Web3, what's the importance, what opportunities does it bring? A major opportunity of the Web3 that I know and I like is the DeFi, the decentralized finance, how this brings financial inclusion. Please, as I'm going on, if you have any thoughts about any of the areas that I touch on, you can actually share your thoughts in the comment section, and then we discuss about it. And if you have any question, feel free to drop it in the comments. And so the DeFi, like I was saying, helps with financial inclusion to the unbanked, to people that traditionally didn't have access to finances, right? To financial activities and services. And so by virtue of the nature of Web3 being decentralized, and part of the nature of that decentralization brings the fact that it removes its third party, which actually bridges the gap and helps people in the underserved community to gain access to financial services without any form of intermediary, or without any form of requirements, complex requirements, as it were the case with the traditional system. And so a large number of the underserved or the unbanked persons are able to be included financially, right? And so, of course, apart from this, that does not mean that we do not have the challenges, like I said. So apart from the DeFi, we have the issue of, ownership, whereby you can actually monetize your data and you can control. And so you are not at the mercy of corporations where you present yourself on the digital space and you put out your content, your data, and you have no idea how it's being run. And all you need to do is just put it out there for the organization. That's not the case in the Web3. So there's much more of data control and data ownership by the participants in the ecosystem. And these are some of the features that actually makes the Web3 distinct from the traditional web or the internet that we had, which of course we're transiting from the Web2 to Web3, right? And then of course, apart from this ownership, we know that there are other features like, if you want to talk about the Web3 and the decentralization. The decentralization actually removes the central authority, right? That's what we have discussed in terms of the fact that you control your data. And so there's the removal of the third party, there's the removal of a central authority, whereby you probably have no idea how your data is being dealt with. So in this case now, you have an idea of how your data is being dealt with, right? And so, of course, when we discuss all these opportunities and all these advantages about the Web3, we will not close our eyes to the challenges and then, of course, the legal implications of the Web3. We cannot close our eyes to them, right? And so among the issues that are accompanied to this Web3 are some legal issues around data privacy and data protection, right? And then, of course, apart from that, we have issues about smart contract. And when we come to smart contract, we talk about issues around responsibility, who is responsible for any form of maybe criminal liabilities within the smart contract, in the smart contract. And then, of course, there are issues, legal issues that are posed, things like enforceability of the smart contract, right? So now we are at in the legal implications. So if you have any question about the definition and explanation around the Web3, you can still ask, but we're moving to the legal implications. So with the smart contract, we have issues around enforceability of the smart contract, because the smart contract actually has its own, the nature of the blockchain, the decentralization is quite unique and disruptive, and is opposed to the centralized system of laws and regulations that we have. And as a result, to be able to adapt the existing laws to the smart contract is not such an easy task, right? And so enforcing smart contract comes with quite some challenges. And as a result, that has probably brought in some forms of, resistance to the acceptance of a smart contract and recognizing it as a legal contract in some jurisdictions. And then, of course, issues around, like I said, liability in terms of criminal liability. If anything goes wrong with the codes that are being deployed to the blockchain, if anything goes wrong, if there's an error, if there's a mistake with the smart contract, now who will be responsible? Is it the developer or who? Or is it the legal personnel that helped in reviewing the smart contract, or any of the participants that helped with the review or the auditing? Or at what point, who among the ecosystem do we assign the issue of responsibility or liability to? And now this issue is actually caused by the nature of the decentralization, because the Web3 and decentralization that we said is the main key that defines this Web3. And by virtue of this decentralization, as much as it works to our advantage, that we know that, oh, things are decentralized now and we have this kind of advantages around it, the legal implications are also there. And it is very, very important that we are aware of both the challenges and the legal implications that it poses, so that we can work, especially among the audience, for those who are legal professionals like me, or those who are regulators, or if you are a tech startup or an organization or an enthusiast, we can all work together collaboratively to be able to see how we can build, and then how we can create laws and policies that will take care of some of these challenges and some of these loopholes, or the things that can pose challenges to help us be able to, create that robust regulatory framework that will help us harness the potentials of the Web3 and the decentralized nature of it without stifling innovation, right? These are things that we need to be aware of. And so of course, we have plethora of cases that have actually, spoken to some of these features. And a very good example, and an old example that speaks to some of the challenges that is posed in this decentralization when there is an issue with the smart contract, is the DAO attack. and the Dow attack of 2016, right? And so that issue of decentralization was actually, very glaring there. So it comes up with issues as to who do you now, assign responsibility or the liability for the error or the criminal conduct that has been performed on a particular platform. So I do not want to seem like I'm just downloading the information alone. And so if you're in the audience and you're listening to me, I would like to hear from you. If you have an idea about any of the legal implication, we have just spoken about the issues that comes with smart contract by way of the decentralizations, issues around enforceability and awarding of liability to when there's a criminal conduct or when there is an error with a smart contract. And then, of course, there are issues around data privacy also. So because the decentralized nature of the Web3 is not, it works well in a way that you already, like we said, we know the advantages that this decentralization brings. The fact that you can have access, you can have control, removes the central authority, removes the third parties, and you can actually deal and transact directly with the end users of your product. But at the same time, we have issues around data privacy and data protection. And so, because the main thing that we want is that while we're trying to harness the opportunities and the potentials of this of the Web3, we also want to be sure that we're legally compliant, right? And so we have various provisions concerning data protection, concerning data privacy, right? And so, of course, globally, we have the EU GDPR, General Data Protection Regulations, and then we have the CCP for California. Then, of course, in jurisdictions like mine, Nigeria, we have the NDP, we have the NDPR. So you want to be sure that whatever it is that you are doing, whether as for your business, you are compliant with the provisions of the data protection regulations. And so provisions like data right to data erasure and then right to privacy, some of these provisions are actually, bridged by virtue of this decentralized nature of the blockchain, because in the long run, when you talk about the data privacy and then the issue of the blockchain immutability or data protection rather, and the blockchain immutability, if you deploy like personal information to this platform, you would have breached a part of the provisions of the data protection regulations, because the right to erasure, that when a party or a participant of this ecosystem wants the information of their data to be erased, by virtue of the fact that information deployed on the blockchain is not easy to erase, and you have to go through some complex act to be able to rewrite the code. And so that could work against the provisions of the data protection regulations, right? And then, of course, by virtue of the decentralized nature and knowing that information entered into a particular system, because you know that the blockchain, once you enter an information on a node, which is a computer, it is entered across multiple nodes. And so the issue of privacy is another concern within this space that we discuss, right? And so these are some of the challenges that will come that we must not overlook while being, while trying to leverage the opportunities that this technology actually offers. So presently, I think we have mentioned like two issues or legal concerns around data privacy and data protection, and then issues around the smart contract in terms of enforceability and awarding of responsibility or liability in terms of criminal errors. And so then, of course, we have issues around IP, intellectual property. So by virtue of the decentralized nature of the Web3, yeah, it's easy for people to infringe on intellectual properties of other persons, of other organizations. So you need to be aware of things like this, so that as an organization you can be on the good. Yes, presently the laws in various jurisdictions have not yet updated to the level that they can actually be adapted to the legal requirements of the smart contract. But I'm sure with more awareness and with more awareness, more education, and more of the regulators and technologists working collaboratively to understand the nature of the various solutions, and then the legal implications, and knowing the loopholes or the gaps with the existing laws, we'll be able to come up with solutions that will bring about a robust, solutions in terms of creating great or robust regulatory frameworks that will cater to the challenges that the Web3 poses, or that will likely pose, right? And then, of course, these are some of the issues that we have around the space. And then, of course, within the data protection also, within the intellectual property, we have said that. Then we have issues around uncertainty within the space of the Web3, because the decentralized, things like the DAO, the decentralized autonomous organizations also, which are key components within the Web3, they also have their own issues, in the sense that whether they have legal recognition. And we have samples of cases where these kind of issues, legal issues, have actually been highlighted, whether they have legal status that they can actually be regulated, and how they will be governed, how they will be taxed. Because the thing is, the decentralized autonomous organizations are organizations, like the name implies, they are decentralized in nature. And like I said, this is opposed to the centralized system that we have. And within the DAO community, members are able to participate to the direction of the community by way of voting, right? And so the decentralized nature of it makes it kind of complex to the existing laws, to creating legal issues around their status, as whether they could be regulated, and how they can be governed, and how they can be taxed and held accountable for any issues or any illegal issues or transactions or activities that happens within the space. And then, of course, some of the legal implications for the Web3 also, we have issues within we have issues around compliance, right? So we're talking about compliance with the laws. We have mentioned one of the complaints we're talking about. You want to understand the data protection regulations within the jurisdictions that you are transacting, or that your client is and comply with. Then we have compliance with the know your customers, and then the anti-money laundering, right? So these are legal implications around this space that you want to know. And then another major one that is posed by this Web3 and decentralization, or by the nature of its decentralized status, is the issue of dispute resolution. And so, because the system is decentralized, there is issues around, okay, which of the jurisdictions have authority to decide or resolve the issues that arises within the platform or within the community, right? So these are things that are erupting, and these are things that have, like I said, there are various cases. We won't be able to cover everything, because like I said, I gave you a promise that it's going to hold for just 30 minutes. And of course, if you want further discussion on it, we can schedule other sessions to discuss on it. And then you can also connect with me on LinkedIn while we take the discussion further, to be able to explore the various cases within the space, cases that highlight some of the shortcomings or some of the legal issues within the intellectual property that I mentioned, within the smart contract that I mentioned, within this one that I'm speaking about now, the issue of dispute resolution, determining right jurisdiction to resolve that dispute, and how will the dispute be resolved? Obviously, like I said, the existing laws cannot effectively cater for this Web3 and decentralized and its decentralized nature, because by the name, by that feature of the decentralization, you can see that it is opposed to the existing centralized system that we have already. And as a result, adapting the laws that applies to existing systems which are centralized will not be easy and will not be effective and will not help us to be able to harness the potentials. So in the long run, what we'll have to do is to see how we can adapt the existing laws to make up with the unique features of this Web3 and decentralized nature that it has. And then, of course, while we work towards understanding it better, to create new policies that are robust enough to help us to be able to understand, to help us to be able to harness the potentials, so that we can foster innovations, at the same time balancing it, of course, with the interest of the investors or the consumers, right? So these are some of the things we can do, and the way forward also will be to educate more people to understand it, right? The more we understand as members of the ecosystem, the more we're able to contribute our own quota to make it better and make it easy for the regulators to be able to put up something together. And as legal professionals, if you're a legal professional in the audience, it behoves on you also to understand, so you can know where you can put your expertise to play to help in creating policies, to help in also advising your clients rightly, understanding the nature of the Web3, and then advising them in terms of compliance with the provisions of the law, and also helping them to be able to, follow industry best practices or standards, right? And then as a result of that, we are able to put up a whole and a robust regulation that will help to cater for the challenges that the Web3 offers. And so we'll be able to harness the potentials maximally. So we have 2 minutes to go. I did not see any question, but should you want to understand further about this topic, I will be very, very open and glad. I'm open, and I'll be glad to discuss further with you. Connect with me here on LinkedIn, and we can take the discussion further. And if you want a detailed discussion on this, of course, we can always connect on LinkedIn, like I said, and we'll discuss further. But for today, that will be all for now, so we don't take much of the time to keep you to understand this simple aspect. So if you want more, you can request, and then we'll discuss further on it. So join me again sometime this week. We'll put the notice on my platform, on my page, on the next date of the LinkedIn live session, where we'll probably be having a fireside chat on women in the blockchain, the Web3 space. Thank you so much for joining this LinkedIn live today. I still remain Deborah, Enyone, the emerging tech lawyer. I'll be glad to connect with you. Thank you so much till we meet again.